This is the Eufy E28 Omni robot vacuum and mop combo. It let me stop babysitting floor cleaning because it actually scrubs, empties itself, and washes its own mop while dodging my cats and the random cable that always falls off the couch. I would put this in the smart cleaning category where the whole point is to automate the boring stuff. If you have pets, a busy schedule, or you just want your floors to stay clean without thinking about it every day, this is made for that. I live in a 700 square foot apartment with 2 cats, and I wanted something that could handle fur, food spills, and the occasional mystery stickiness that shows up near the kitchen. I also wanted less maintenance than the usual robot vacuum. That is exactly where this thing fits. The design feels considered in ways that matter. The robot itself is compact and sturdy, with wheels that are just a bit taller than what I am used to, which actually helps when it crosses the edge of a rug or the lip into my bathroom. The top lid opens with a light press, so I can reach the dust compartment if I want to check it, but most of the time I do not need to. The touch controls on top are simple and responsive. The Omni Station is larger than a basic charging block, more like a small appliance that you will leave out, but it is tidy. Rounded corners, muted color, nothing flashy. I notice a gentle hum only when it is washing the mop pads or drying them, and even then it sounds more like a low fan. The tanks pull straight out, so filling clean water and dumping dirty water is quick. None of the trim origami you get with some basies. I also appreciate that the air used to dry the pads is warm, not scorching, so the pads come out dry without getting stiff. Setup was straightforward, but there is one thing to know. It only connects to 2.4 GHz wireless internet. If your home uses only 5 GHz, you will need to enable the 2.4 band. I paired it through the Eufy application in a few minutes. The first map of my apartment stunned me because it took about 3 minutes to scan the layout and generate a 3-dimensional map with rooms I could label. I did a quick walkthrough in the application, set no-go zones around the litter boxes, and scheduled a morning run. The robot leaves the station within a few seconds of a command, and manual controls in the application respond quickly. It feels polished, not clunky. Once it starts cleaning, the difference shows up in how it handles messes that usually trip up robot mops. Vacuum power is strong enough that I stopped doing a pre-pass with my stick vac. On my low-pile rug, it digs out the sandy grit that hides near the edges of the coffee table. On tile and wood, it pulls up cat litter without scattering it. When it senses carpet, it automatically ramps up suction, then calms back down on hard floors. The side brush pulls crumbs away from the baseboards without flinging them across the room, which is a tiny thing that matters every single day. Mopping is where I saw the biggest upgrade over older bots. It does not just drag damp pads around. It applies fresh water, scrubs, and then constantly cleans the pads using an internal scraper that squeegees off the gunk. You can see it in the path it leaves behind. The tiles look evenly wiped, not streaky. I tried a stress test with peanut butter and jam on the kitchen tile. The robot spotted the mess with its cameras and sensors, slowed down, and started working it in short passes. No smearing, no sticky halo, just clean tile. The mop pads did not look like a disaster afterward because the scraper keeps them from becoming a rolling stain. When it finishes, or when the pads need a refresh, it returns to the station, rinses the pads, and then dries them with warm air, so there is no wet fabric smell hanging around. On carpet, it avoids mopping altogether and pulls the pads up so they do not drag moisture over the rug. That is essential if you have area rugs in a mixed floor plan. Navigation has been reliable. The robot uses red, green, blue cameras and other sensors to identify obstacles, and in my apartment that meant it spotted my cats, a sock, and even a phone charging cable that slipped off the couch. It slows and detours without snagging. I still do a quick scan before a deep clean, but I do not need to clear every small thing. In dim light, it moves cautiously and still avoids the big stuff, although I find it a bit more confident with a lamp on. It holds a precise map and does not lose rooms, which has been a problem for me with other robots. The base is a quiet workhorse. The dust bag is around 3 liters, and with daily runs I am swapping it every couple of months. That is a small but real quality of life improvement because I am not emptying a tiny bin every other day. The auto-empty whoosh is louder for a moment, then it is over, and it is worth it to me for not dealing with debris clouds. The mop wash cycle takes a few minutes after each session, and the warm air dry keeps the pads ready for the next run. Maintenance comes down to refilling the clean water tank and emptying the dirty water tank. I do that about every 3 to 4 days with my schedule. The portable spot cleaner in the station has turned into my secret weapon. It is a handheld cleaner you pull from the base to tackle couches, stairs, and quick spills. I used it on a ketchup blotch on a cushion and on muddy paw prints on the entry mat. It sprays, suctions, and gets rid of the mark without dragging out a big carpet machine. That is the sort of thing I did not think I would use much, and now I use it every week. It is also great for the car if you can bring the base within reach of an outlet. Here is how it played out during real-life tests. After a Sunday breakfast, I made a sticky mess while making toast with peanut butter and jam. I left it on purpose. The robot rolled in, identified the gunk, slowed down, and started scrubbing. It did 2 focus passes and then 1 more for good measure. The stain was gone. The station did a quick wash and dry and sent it back out. Later that day, I let it handle the litter zone. It did not spook the cats, and it did not fling pellets. The side brush got right up to the wall, and the vacuum pulled the tiny grains that grind underfoot. That night I had friends over, and someone dribbled red wine on the kitchen tile. I grabbed the portable spot cleaner, sprayed, and vacuumed it up in under a minute. No panic, no towels. There are a few quirks to keep in mind. The station takes up a fair amount of space. It is neat and self-contained, but you need a spot where it can sit flat with a little clearance on both sides. If your home wireless network is only 5 GHz, the 2.4 GHz requirement will force a quick router tweak. The obstacle avoidance is good, but not magic. Very small or clear objects can still surprise it, so I take 30 seconds to pick up anything delicate before I start a run. The auto-empty burst is not whisper quiet, and you will hear it if you are on a call. I also found that very glossy black chair legs can confuse the camera once in a while, so it will slow down and tap them lightly. Day to day, I use it in 2 ways. For daily upkeep, I run a whole home clean while I make coffee. It handles the 2 rooms, the hallway, and the kitchen, and it is done before I leave for work. The floors do not look lived in, and I am not dealing with hair tumbleweeds. For targeted cleaning, I use the application to send it to a zone. If I spill cereal, I tap the kitchen area in the map, and it heads straight there. There is also a follow mode that lets me guide it to a mess while I point out the spot, which is surprisingly handy when something falls behind a chair. Some of the smart touches actually matter over time. The robot keeps a cleaning log that shows where it spent extra time because it found a stain. The map editor lets me split and merge rooms and keep out areas precisely. The cleaning preferences save to different rooms, so the kitchen gets stronger scrubbing and the living room gets lighter mopping. I also like that I can schedule mop drying so it does not blow warm air in the middle of the night. The privacy settings let me limit what the camera does, and I keep the stream off when I am not using remote view. I do not need a live video feed from my floors. I just want good obstacle avoidance. All of this adds up to a robot that feels like a helpful roommate who knows its job. It is not perfect, but the balance of vacuum strength, real scrubbing, self-cleaning, and that portable spot cleaner is exactly what I wanted. If you have pets, mixed flooring, and zero interest in fussing with a robot mop, this makes daily life easier. If you have a very small apartment with no space for the base, or if you only use 5 GHz wireless internet and do not want to adjust your network, or if you are uneasy with a camera-based robot, you may want to look at a simpler dock and a sensor-only model. For me, this fits the sweet spot between automation and hands-off maintenance, and my place stays cleaner with far less effort. If you want me to test specific messes or try certain settings in another video, drop your ideas in the comments. If this video helped, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. Thank you for watching.